Peace, peace. It's your boy Anpu Ra. Here another video, astral traveling about OBE. In my last video I spoke about how I kept a journal, and I'm gonna start making videos about the things I wrote down in my journal, the things that I experienced, and maybe it can help some people out there to know that they're not alone. Just want to share my experience with the world. So in my journal, I wrote about astral traveling. It is an interpretation of an out-of-body experience. Some people call it OBE, that assumes the existence of an astral body separate from the physical body and capable of traveling outside of it. Astral projection travels denotes that the astral body leaving the physical body to travel in the astral plane. The idea of astral travel is rooted in common worldwide religions. Accounts of the afterlife, in which the consciousness or soul's journey or ascent is described in such terms as an out-of-body experience, wherein the spiritual traveler leaves the physical body and travels in his or her subtle body or dream body or astral body into higher realms. It is therefore associated with the near-death experience, and is also frequently reported as a spontaneously experience in association with sleep and dreams, illness, surgical operations, drug experiences, sleep paralysis, and forms of meditation. Okay, in 1987, some of y'all probably wasn't even born. At this time in my life, I was going through a lot of stress because I was taken away from my mother. And I was 7 years old. And I was living with my aunt. And me and my cousin, we were sleeping in the living room on the couches. I slept on a small couch. My cousin slept on a big couch. And in the middle of the night, I felt paralyzed. I tried to move and scream, but nothing came out of my mouth. I felt like if I was going to die. Because my heart was beating so fast, I opened my eyes, and at the foot of the couch, I saw a body. I couldn't see any features, but I knew it was a being. A shadow being is what it looked like. It was just staring at me. And once I was able to move, I tried to kick it, and the shadow being had disappeared. That was my first encounter with a shadow being as far as I could remember. In 2012, I guess, the whole idea of the Mayan calendar, that the world's supposed to come to an end. For some reason that year, something happened. Maybe the energy in this planet shifted, because this year is when I started to have a lot of experiences with this out of body. It just started happening a lot, a whole lot. It was a very, very rough time for me. I just didn't understand it, but now I do. And this is why I want to share this experience with y'all. So if you're going through this, then you will know what's going on. So in 2012, I had many encounters with these shadow beings. That's right. There was more than one. I can't remember all the encounters, but it was always 3 of them. When I have these encounters, I feel paralyzed, and I feel a vibration in my head. And then the vibration travels through my whole body. My heart is always pounding, and I feel a lot of fear. I always feel that someone's in the room watching me. It always happens in the middle of the night, between 2 a.m. to like 5 a.m. in the morning. At this time in my life, I couldn't share this with nobody because people would think I'm crazy. One time the vibration came and I was paralyzed, and I opened my eyes and I seen 3 shadow beings by my bed. And it seemed like if they was taking my energy. One of the shadow beings was standing right on the side of my bed and had their hand over my head. And it felt like the shadow beings was like taking my energy for some reason. I knew it wasn't right. It didn't feel right. I was very afraid. The other time, one of the shadow beings was waving at me at the foot of my bed. That shit tripped me out. One is like the silhouette of a woman. One is like the silhouette of like a tall man. And the other is like a silhouette of a little boy. One time, I left my body, but it felt like a dream. And it felt so real. I was so conscious. This experience was so powerful. It was like if I was in a different dimension. I was greeted by 2 beings. One took the form of my foster father, and the other took the form of my stepson. This place was so beautiful and colorful. I was walking with these 2 beings that took the form of my loved ones. I guess they wanted me to feel comfortable. We were walking toward a house, and it was like if the house was the only house around because all around us was a forest. I saw these 2 colorful tigers. They were huge. I didn't get scared because the 2 beings that I was with, they didn't get scared. And by the way, I am so conscious. It's like just like how right now I am right now, just conscious. I know what's going on. Okay? I was conscious in this lucid dream. And lucid dreaming is that, for those that don't know, it's like if you dreaming and something dramatic just happens and you realize like, wait a minute, this ain't real. I'm dreaming. And then you become conscious in your dreams. And you just have like total control. It's a very weird experience, but it's fun at the same time because you have like total control of your dream and you could just do whatever you want. All right. So when the tigers got close, they transformed into some beings I've never seen before. Like a species of aliens, but they looked human. It was weird. They just transformed right in front of my face. They looked very friendly and they just smiled at me. So we continued to the house, and when we entered, there was a table with 2 chairs, and on the table was a crystal ball. So I'm saying to myself, I'm going to see or speak to a psychic, right? So the 2 beings had stood on the side of me while I sat down in a chair, and in came this Caucasian woman, an older woman that I've never seen before. And she sat down across from me and just smiled. Her presence was very powerful. She looked at me and said, ask me what you want to know. I thought to myself, like, damn, what if I only get one question? You know? So I sat there and I thought hard about it, and it came to me. I said to myself, why my father was never in my life? She had a look on her face like if she was surprised, and she looked like she wanted to cry, like she had emotions. Like maybe she knew something about me. She didn't answer me. So I asked another question. I asked, who are these shadow beings? She said, they are us. I paused in shock. And then I asked, so why I can't see you? Why I can't see y'all? And why you look like a shadow? She said, because that's how we programmed you. I was confused. So I asked another question. I asked, so why are you taking my energy? She didn't respond to that, but they all backed away from me, and I felt this vibration in my whole body, and I started to levitate. I tried to stop it, but I couldn't. But then in the blink of an eye, I was sitting at a dining room table, and there were many people there. It was like if the Caucasian woman was there to help these people. Like every time she walked by me, she placed something in front of me. The object that she placed in front of me, it had it pulled towards me like a magnet. Then she had a plate full of forks and one spoon on top of the forks. And she told me, move the spoon with your mind. And with my mind, I visualized the spoon moving. And the spoon started to move, and I was twirling it with my mind. The lady looked at me and smiled, and then I felt the vibration again. And I was in a different place. Somehow, I don't know where I was at, but then somehow it was somewhere in the forest, deep in the forest, but somehow I got back to the house. I tried to go in the room that she was in, but there were so many people, it was crowded. And at the door was this African looking man. And I remember just crying to him like, I need to speak to her because I have so many questions to ask. And the man looked at me and said, you will, just not now. After that day, I spoke to someone that's very conscious of the spiritual realms. And his name is Ra. Peace to that brother. I watched a lot of his videos. He drops a lot of knowledge. He has like a lot of good information. I contacted him one day and he hit me up, because I was just desperate for some answers, man. I was just like, yo, whatever it takes for me to find out what the hell is going on. And he kind of break it down to me. So he told me to protect myself with some crystals. And because I always felt like these shadow beings was taking advantage of me. So I said to myself, the next time I have these out of bodies experience, I'm going to attack them. Well, one night around 2:30 a.m., I had the vibration in my head, and I saw the shadow being, and I jumped out my body, but I didn't know because it felt like if I was in the physical body. I jumped up and I tried to grab one of them, and they moved so fast, and it's dark in my room, so I couldn't hardly see. I remember grabbing one of my crystals, and I was yelling, "You don't belong here." And one of the crystals that Ra told me to get was the hematite crystal. And that was the exact crystal because I always kept that like right next to my bed. And while I was in the astral body, I grabbed the crystal, but the whole time I didn't realize that I left my body because the shit feels so real and I was so conscious. So when I yelled at them like, y'all don't belong here, they just left. And when I turned around, I looked at my girlfriend, I realized that it was a body still in the bed. My body was still in the bed. And I started to panic. I panicked, man. And in the blink of an eye, like that, I went back to my body. Boom. And I'm like, oh shit. What the fuck just happened? And so that night I went back to sleep and the vibration happened again. And it never happened 2 times like in a row in one night. So I left my body again and I was walking around my apartment and the shadow beings they were nowhere in sight. I looked out my window and I said to myself, what if I go outside? But I was so nervous and I just I couldn't shake the nerves. I was so scared and I just went back to my body and so I started doing some research and I found out that I'm not the only one that can do this out of body experience. We all do it when we sleep, but we just can't remember. And here I wrote, I am documenting this now because it is happening more. I started taking notes on how often it happens and what happens during this experience. It doesn't happen every night, but once every 2 or 3 months, I said to myself, when it happens again, I'm going to explore this realm. During my research, I found out that you're able to fly and go anywhere in the universe. Sounds like fun, right? Until we meet again, Anpu Ra, Astral Travel. This is the beginning of my documentation. Peace.